Sizing up Murphy, drives, floats, hangs, and scores on the turnaround. J-Dub way behind the three-point line and hits way behind the three-point line. Got blocked. What a rejection by Holmgren. Standing tall like a wall.
This is Dart. You're listening to the Uncontested.
Hello, everybody. And welcome to the Uncontested Sunday Night Show. I am your host for tonight, Justin, joined by the whole starting five. We got the king fella himself, JD Silva.
Fellas.
Live from a house in The Sims, we have Nick Crane.
Does Silva's hat say analytics? Is that what that says?
It does.
Wow.
Just in general, just like general analytics.
The basketball above it, and
I like it. I like it.
Yep.
Speaking of analytics, we have Taylor Peterson.
So is a certified ball knower. What can we say?
And our certified bald knower, Jacob Niffen. That was a silent salute for those of you listening on the podcast. Got the whole squad here tonight to break down a fun win against the San Antonio Spurs, play some Prairie Trivia, maybe look at a little bit of big picture thinking before making some predictions. Got a full show for you tonight. Before we dive in, I want to let you know that we are proudly part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and brought to you by Prairie Artisan Ales. Complete with sound effects.
hey, I learned today that not all beard trimmers are waterproof.
Beard trimmers?
Beard trimmers.
Okay.
Before we get into this, I have been using the same really nice plug-in beard trimmer for a year. And it didn't say waterproof anywhere, but I just kind of assumed it was. All right. And there's been a couple times where
hold on, pause real quick.
Yeah.
Corded, you said?
Corded.
Okay. Feels important.
And there's been a couple times where it's zapped me.
Silva's bath bombing in.
There's been a couple times where it's zapped me. You know, I just want to wash off the head of it or whatever. And so since then, I just hold it really carefully so that way I'm not touching any of the metal parts. Anyway.
To be clear, we're still talking about your razor.
I'm a utilitarian. I just want to keep going until it breaks. All right. So today, I was using it like normal, and the spark shot out from the front of it, and it shut off. Just as I had finished shaving everything but the mustache.
It's a sign.
Were you in the shower?
No. I was over my sink. And
Okay.
That's better.
The way you were talking about it being waterproof, I thought you were in the shower.
No,
This dude had an extension cord leading to a shower. And
I would just rinse off the blade or whatever. And this time I shot a magic missile out the front of it.
Does your shower not have an outlet in it, Jacob?
I mean,
I don't know. Maybe it's an outdoor shave. That's wild, Silva. You should probably get a new trimmer.
Yep, and I won't ever let it come into contact with water.
That also seems wise.
Yeah.
Maybe we need a beard trimmer sponsor. Remember when we had the Manscaped sponsorship?
We did.
Not a beard trimmer, but a good trimmer.
They also sell beard trimmers.
They do. They do indeed.
Yeah.
there you go, Silva.
Call us.
Yeah. Or maybe you're Balchinian. Who's to say? I don't think I've plugged all the things I'm supposed to plug yet because of that delightful aside. Make sure you follow us wherever you get your socials. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's video form on YouTube or audio form, wherever. We greatly appreciate you. Also, if you haven't yet and you're not sick of hearing us talking about it yet, join the Patreon. We have exclusive episodes. We have some fun stickers. I think we still have some of those left for new members. We also have an awesome Discord. We have a little bit of infighting, but we're working through it. We're a big, happy family, and we're especially happy after a win like tonight. So without further ado, let's dive in, fellas. Oklahoma City defeats the Spurs in San Antonio 146-132. A game that maybe doesn't reflect what type of game it was with just the final score. So hit me with your big takeaways. What are we feeling after watching the Thunder take on the Spurs?
Hot take before you guys say differently. I would push back. I think the final score does reflect the game. I think given the way the Spurs made their noise in the first half, not too dissimilar to the way Brooklyn did in the first half the other night. At some point when you're shooting the way you're shooting, you just got to tip your hat. I think the unsustainable nature in which they were scoring in the first half, you kind of felt the second half would go the way it did. So I would argue like, yes, the game was not a blowout like it looks like with the final score, but I also didn't feel like it was a game that Thunder were ever going to lose.
The Spurs score 77 points in the first half, the most points allowed for the Thunder this season. You mentioned Brooklyn, a game in which the Thunder gave up 76 points and a half, second most this season. The Spurs shot 16 of 26 from behind the three-point arc in the first half. And a great stat pulled together by Royce Young. They go 2 for 27 from behind the arc in the second half and didn't hit their first three till 2 minutes and 6 seconds left in the game. You can argue, I guess that I'll pose this as a question. Was it regression to the mean, or was that regression to the mean influenced by Thunder defense?
Probably all the above. I was going to mention that Jacob always mentions to us and in the Discord, or when him and I are watching games live together, I think like when we're watching the Hawks game on Friday, teams aren't going to keep shooting like this. Unfortunately, it feels like he's been having to say that a little more often over the past week or 2 weeks because teams are coming out pretty hot. A combination of great shot making at home, the Thunder playing a lot of away games, and also some poor defensive rotations as well from the Thunder, leaving shooters open. Tonight was probably a combination of both. I mean, but 2 of 27 in the second half after going 16 of 26, that's like regression to the mean on steroids. So I think you have to obviously give a lot of credit to the Thunder, how they stepped up defensively. And not to completely transition us here, but like I think a lot of that, I mean, they came out of the half pretty fired up defensively. They looked much better. But then you had the scuffle there in the third quarter. Fight. I'll let you guys break that down, but it seemed like after that point, the Thunder were pretty fired up.
Taylor, give us a play-by-play of the fight.
So we have, I believe, Kenrich Williams, and was it Justin? Which Champagne brother is it?
Julian.
One of them. Julian. Julian has the ball, kind of throws it.
Say his last name again.
Is it Champagne? I never have known to say their last name.
Champagne?
Champagne.
Good old
Champagne
Julian.
is not bad. That's
It's
not
not
old
bad.
Julian
Poppin' champagne.
like I just won the championship gamey.
Well, he popped the ball and it hit Kenrich Williams in the face, and Kenny got very upset there. They started to kind of go back and forth a little bit. Then all of a sudden you see Jeremy Sohan comes out with his blue or green or whatever hair it is and gets very upset. Lou Dort comes in, and Kaysen, kind of a low-key scrapper in this scrap. I think he didn't get called for anything, but he's kind of the one who kind of went after Sohan. And so Lou Dort kind of goes after him. It was hilarious. Basically just took one hand and just completely removed Sohan from the entirety of the scrap, which was
The
awesome.
enforcer.
Was enough to get him ejected, I guess.
Not
Yeah.
enough to get him ejected, which
Yeah.
is crazy. So Champagne and
see the
Kenrich
wheels
Williams,
turning.
I know both. I gotta like break myself out of what I already have predetermined in my head. They both get ejected, which whatever, fine. I don't think either probably should have, but whatever. Lou Dort gets ejected, and Sohan gets to stay in the game.
Wild. My favorite was the assistant coach or the Thunder staffer that tackled Shai Gilgeous-Alexander like there was an assassin in the building. Like it very much had a Mr. Gilgeous-Alexander, get down vibes. It was fantastic.
I saw someone say he was knocked out by Shay's aura.
I was going to say Shai broke the tackle like he was a running back.
Amazing.
When you see the video of the scuffle, it's really funny because it looks like Sohan goes at Lou first, and then Lou gets his hands on his jersey, and there's a picture where Lou looks like Bobby Portis. I mean, the eyeballs just popping out of the head, and right behind him, Kaysen Wallace is like laughing. Kaysen is the kind of guy that like doesn't get real mad.
Yeah.
Like he starts laughing.
The guy
in a
laughing
fight.
in the fight is always the one to be scared of.
That's the sociopath.
100%. And Kaysen went after him there too.
ESPN postgame, they asked Dub about the turning point after the scuffle, and after making a joke, we had a scuffle. He said it just recentered us. It refocused us. And I think you could see it, right? Like that moment could have gone either way. The Thunder were starting to pull away a little bit. They're starting to get a little bit of a lead. I think they were up 4 or 6, something in that range when the scuffle happened. And from there, it looked like a different basketball game from that point on.
I didn't know he had said that, because that is kind of an admission of what I've been thinking about this team this last week or so, where they've been so good for so long in this season now. And we've all kind of been in the Discord complaining about the defense, and on the podcast, like, oh, should we be concerned? Should we be concerned? I just think they're kind of battling human nature, where you will naturally let your foot off the gas if you've been dominating the entire year. And we've seen them naturally. I don't think any of these guys are like quitting or taking nights off or anything like that. They've won so comfortably in so many games that it's got to be hard to get up and compete at 100% every single night. And they probably do need events like this kerfuffle tonight to get them motivated again in the middle of a game. Like, you have tomfoolery, this tomfoolery shenanigans. You just have to find other ways to get motivated. And maybe that's a rival team coming in. Spurs aren't that right now. So maybe that's a fight in the middle of the game, something different every night, honestly.
Well, Houston coming into town tomorrow night offers kind of a unique opportunity there.
Yeah.
And Denver with the MVP conversation next weekend, back to back, will be interesting as well. But so I get it. Like, and I think a lot of people are worried about the team right now. I don't think there's much worry to be had. They're trying new rotations. Guys are in and out. It's just a lot of stuff. And for the record, like, Nick, I don't know how you feel about this. I thought the process of defense was pretty good tonight. The result was what was poor. Like, I thought the Spurs were hitting some wild shots. I think Steph Castle is really good. I don't know if Steph Castle is that good. And I think when the threes started really raining in and the Thunder were scrambling on that, that's when things kind of deteriorated on the interior. But overall, like, I didn't think the defense was bad. It's not like they weren't trying or they had like a horrible scheme. I just think sometimes you play good defense, and NBA players are in the NBA for a reason. They hit a lot of shots.
I think the perfect illustration of that phenomenon is I could go back and rewatch and be convinced differently. I don't think the Thunder's defensive rotations or scheme changed that much between the first and second half. Yet we just described the flurry of threes in the first half and the lack thereof in the second half. To Jacob's point, sometimes they make shots, and it's just like sure, you could have played better defense, but sometimes they're NBA players that make threes, and it's process. Like, I completely agree.
One aside, for whatever it's worth, tomorrow night, Houston's already sitting quite a few of their players and have others that are questionable that may not play. We could be seeing like the Houston Rockets G League with like Şengün. So that's kind of nice for the Thunder on the second night of back-to-back. Also
Maybe.
kind of fun. You're right.
We'll see.
Maybe.
They'll probably come out and hit 14 threes.
Yeah, right. But that kind of goes back to something that Nick mentioned. Like, these teams are all playing at home. And we've seen what the Thunder do and some of the shots that their role players make when they're at home. But this is a stat that I pulled from Nick, or that Nick Gallo tweeted out here. This is back on February 21st when he tweeted it out. But starting with that Utah game back on the 21st, the Thunder had a stretch of 8 games in 13 days with 0 off nights at home. The Thunder will have 2 off nights at home in a 25-day span coming out of the All-Star break. These guys are traveling constantly. Like Jacob mentioned, they're battling all these injuries. And it's not just like the Chets who were out tonight or the Isaiah Joes with back soreness. You look at J-Dub holding his wrist all week still, kind of bothering him. I saw iHeart, obviously with the mask and the nasal fracture, but also had like KT tape on his trap. Like, all these guys are battling some kind of minor injury right now. And I think, like you said, like, you're playing these guys at home. They're giving you their best punch every single game because you're one of the best teams in the league.
You got a target on your back.
It's exhausting.
Yep. I think that's fair, and I think that
You
it
know
will
who
be.
also had a target on their back?
This could go a lot of ways. Go a lot of ways.
JFK.
Gosh,
That was gonna be my first
That was going to be my first guess.
What?
unbelievable!
That was gonna be my first guess.
Both of
Oh.
us, that's where we thought you were
You
headed.
guys are all a bunch of sickos.
I'm saying.
And I think it's interesting. Not that I think the Thunder, it won't be the same situation at all. But, we've talked a lot about like some of the great seasons record wise that have happened through NBA history. You look at the Warriors 73-9 season. There was definitely some games down the stretch where they were chasing wins because of the historical weight of what was on the line. Now, again, not going to be having that conversation, but how much are you looking across the standings at what
Are they
the Cavaliers are
mathematically
doing?
eliminated from that?
Well, they have 11 losses, so they can't have 9.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I haven't looked at the record. I forgot.
but yes, from that, but you can look across the conference standings and how much are you eyeballing the Cavs and what they're doing and trying to secure that like finals home court advantage potentially. Does that cause this team to chase some wins down the stretch at potentially a negative, come playoff time? I don't think this team will find themselves in that situation. I think Mark Daigneault said as much the other night in some of his media availability, which I thought was really telling. And I think in some of these recent games, there's stretches where it's like, why is this lineup playing? Or why is this guy doing this? One of the things I've seen come up a lot in the Discord is why does Shea look so passive? I don't know this because I'm not an insider. I'm by definition an outsider. But like, it seems like a mandate. It seems like a choice. It seems like a data point, like exactly what Mark Daigneault was talking about. We are trying to understand all the data points about this team so that come playoff time, we know exactly what we have and we're ready to go. We know what Shea can do. Shea can go get his literally whenever he wants, against whoever he wants, on any other team in the NBA. We know that. Everybody knows that. I don't need any more of that data. I got it. What we don't have is what happens to the other guys. What if they are put in a position to carry more of the scoring load? That feels like that's what's happening when Shea is coming down. It feels like, why does he keep passing? He's not stat chasing. That's never been Shea. That's not this organization right now. This isn't, the Russ triple-double like counting stats year. I think this is a team looking for more data on the other guys on the team with an increased responsibility. And I think if I were a smarter man, there's probably more of those instances that are happening. Some of them may be defensively. I think the 2 big lineup was the one specifically that Daigneault was kind of responding in reference to. But I think there's going to be so many things down this last stretch of 20 games or so that the Thunder are just experimenting with. Could be small experiments, could be big. They could work, they could not, but it's all about gathering more data points for the playoffs.
I think you nailed it, Justin. And you nailed it when you talked about this on your post-game Friday night as well. And I have 2 thoughts there. You mentioned, or when I was listening to you Friday also, you talked about Shea, not just from the coaching staff, not like maybe being a mandate as much as it is a choice from him. I think this obviously was a game. I mean, we'll talk about Shea's individual performance, 31 points, 8 assists. Like, he probably could have gone and got another 40-piece tonight if he wanted to. But if he does that, we don't get the 41-point game from J-Dub and his performance in the fourth quarter, or we don't get the Cason Wallace 19 points, or we don't get Lou Dort shooting 20, as well as he did from 3 and getting 20 points on Friday night against the Hawks. And I just keep coming back to a quote that not only the Daigneault quote you mentioned, but Shea had as well prior to the All-Star break, like maybe a couple weeks before, where he said, going back to that playoff series against the Mavs, I felt like I didn't do a good enough job getting my teammates involved. I never want to feel that feeling again. And I need to make more of an effort on the court during the regular season to get these guys involved. And I think that's some of what we're seeing.
I agree.
Also.
I agree. The chat is foaming at the mouth for us to talk more about J-Dub. I feel like you just gave him a little appetizer, Taylor. Who wants to do it? Who wants to talk about J-Dub?
Sounds like
It's got to be Taylor. It's got to be Taylor to start.
Should I go ahead and pull the graphic up? I feel like it's a given.
Yes.
The king of the prairie for tonight's win over the Spurs. Dub. Take us away, Taylor.
Well, the best player for the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight, just kidding, but Dub was incredible. 41 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 15 of 24 from the floor. When was the last time we saw those field goal attempts that high? That was exciting to me. 4 of 8 from 3, 7 of 7 from the free throw line. Also very exciting. Not only him getting to the rim again, but him being more efficient from the free throw line, and then had a steal and a block as well. Was a plus 12 on the night. Looking at the plus minus, I just pulled that up. I think the biggest thing for me though with Dub, and this is something else. We just talked about Shea and him, being willing to create a little more and try and get teammates involved. And I don't think it's a coincidence that as he started to do that, the second units without Shea have looked quite a bit better. Now, obviously, getting Chet back helps a lot with that. But I think that's a lot of what we're seeing with Dub. He's playing with a lot more confidence. One thing I loved is he was driving to the rim, trying to get those mid-range shots. They weren't falling. Hits 2 huge threes there. I think it was to start the fourth quarter.
Yep.
And then he just starts taking over. He had the lob to iHeart, which was insane.
Nasty.
iHeart one-handed just poster.
Mr. Incredible.
Lob. And that's something else we can talk about too at some point here over the next couple of days. But iHeart and Chet's chemistry continues to develop, and it looks really, really good. And then the very next possession comes down, has one of the most improbable and ones I can remember. I mean, he just got into fourth quarter Dub mode, takeover mode, and looked incredible. So career high tonight for Dub with 41 points. A fun stat that you mentioned, or I guess that I mentioned at the top of the podcast, Justin, another Royce Young stat. I'm getting them confused. But, the Thunder and Royce tweeted out that there's only 2 players this season in the NBA season that have scored 30-plus points and have had 0 turnovers. And that was Shea and J-Dub tonight. So quite the performance from the Thunder's big 2 without Shea or without Chet.
I think shot diet's the thing that sticks out for me. Looking at his shot chart here, he was 8 of 12 from the paint restricted area. So a good chunk of his shots came near the rim, which this season's been interesting, but 2 years prior, he's literally elite upper echelon rim finisher. Get back to that. But then when he did take mid-range shots, he was 3 of 4 from mid-range. Above the break threes, which is where he's really struggled this year, 4 of 7. It's just I think that if he can get back to going to the rim and finishing, everything else opens up. And tonight was the perfect waterfall effect of all of that. But I liked the shot diet of the 41. It wasn't like he shot 13 threes and made 8,
Right.
And Nick, what you said there, I think is kind of interesting because I felt like, did he have 2 or 3 threes there to start the game in the first 5 minutes? It almost felt like his game tonight started outside in versus inside out, where instead of attacking and getting that going and then everything else kind of flowing from that, it almost felt like the reverse, where he hit some threes that caused the defense to really space out and close out hard on him, which really allowed him to then play off the catch, play off the pump fake and drive in. But I think you're right that whenever he plays physical and whenever he gets downhill, good things just happen. He ended with 8 assists tonight? 7 assists.
7. Yep.
And besides lobs to Hartenstein, I feel like all 7 of those were drives where he just bullied dudes into the lane, collapsed the defense, and then sprayed out to shooters. One spray out to Alex Caruso there in the beginning of the fourth quarter really comes to mind. Defensively, the dude plays with an insane amount of physicality, and I think when he taps into that on the offensive end is when he really, really starts to unlock some stuff. He also has, I'm sure you guys notice it. We watch this team so much that it's really easy to see the cadence of the team and what they're going to do before it happens. And there are some plays where Dub will get a defensive rebound, and you can just tell he's about to push the pedal to the floor. The gas is going all the way, and he tries to outrun everybody and kind of gets that chicken wing going, knocking somebody out of the way, lowers the shoulder over here. And when he's in that level of attack mode, he's really, really hard to stop, and that's the Dub they need come playoff time.
Yeah, he is like you said, he's incredible when he starts being physical on offense. And I think 2 of the end ones later in the game where he bumped a guy and then hit a crazy floater with English on it. It reminded me
some of those finishes were dumb.
Absurd. It was not obviously nowhere near the same stakes, but that famous rush shot against the Lakers in the playoffs where he gets fouled and throws up a floater and it banks off the glass. He was doing that kind of stuff, and it was really exciting. He needed this, I think, for his confidence. He's had spurts this season where it's clear he's just unsure of what to do when he's driving to the rim. Not because he doesn't know how, but because he's kind of in his head on the foul calls. And
Yeah, that's what I was going to
whether or
say.
not
The whistle or
the
lack
whistle-
thereof, I think, is a big factor.
whether or not he should try and draw the foul or just go up and play through the contact. But tonight he just played free. And you mentioned SGA being more like passive, quote unquote passive, or just more willing to trying to get other guys involved.
Yep.
J-Dub is the biggest benefactor of that. J-Dub's going to be the secondary scorer in the playoffs off the dribble, the guy who can create his own shot. And tonight is an example of what that could look like. I also think it's really funny that if SGA, like our Discord was talking about SGA being passive tonight, he still scored 31 points. Like,
Yeah.
still.
If that's passive, you're in a pretty good place.
Didn't
Right.
score in the fourth either.
It's routine. Yep.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that, Nick. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We did this on I think on the Wednesday show, and I want to do it again tonight if we can, real quick. Shay, you can't choose Shay because then these two answers would be Dub and Shay every night. Dub was the king of the prairie. So who is the prince of the prairie? Who's like the runner up for player of the game, Nick?
I am between two players, Kaysen Wallace and Aaron Wiggins. I think I'd probably give it to Kaysen, but I just have to use this opportunity to say I think Aaron Wiggins has unlocked something that we probably never thought could happen. Like, I feel pretty good saying that if the Thunder had never drafted Chet the way that Wiggins is playing right now, we might be like trying to convince ourselves he could be the third guy on this team. The way he's been scoring of late, it's like
Aaron Wiggins will win them a crucial playoff game.
Yeah.
Yep.
the
Agreed.
sample size is now like getting close to 15 games, which quick math, because we don't do that live on the pod.
Maths.
We're talking about like 20% of a season, almost, of a sample size that he's averaging like 18 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
He's
It's
the
been
sixth
awesome.
man.
I think I heard on the
so-
podcast this was his 14th straight game in double digits. It's like
Yeah. It's
feels
good.
like ever since that Knicks game over the holidays, he just has gone to a whole new level.
I think it's
So
fun.
Nick, you are going with Kaysen though.
Yep, I am.
Okay, Justin.
I'm also going with Kaysen. He's been awesome. I think injecting him into the starting lineup with Chet the other night, I think, is a testament to how good he's been this season. He's absolutely earned that starting spot, and tonight I think he was great.
JD, are you going Kaysen as well?
I'm gonna go Aaron Wiggins. I've just been on board with the Aaron Wiggins experience. It's been a blast. It's been such a blast. And I was just thinking, like, during the game, you know how we talked about Devin Vassell last year and the year before then? Aaron Wiggins is averaging more points than Devin Vassell.
He's averaging more points than Cam Johnson, who we all wanted to
I know.
trade for before
Yeah,
the
that too.
deadline.
Making
Yep.
me eat crow. I did so many podcasts just talking about
On
we
a
need
better
someone
3-point
better than Aaron.
percentage.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, I mean Brooklyn's good and they're playing,
Yeah.
they're overachieving for their team, but they also took away some players around Cam. But still,
Yeah, he's incredible. Is it Nick? You mentioned that he unlocked something. We have seen guys I'm always so afraid to just say this is who he is now. I don't know when we can all say that. It does feel sustainable at this point, but it's like, yeah, maybe he did level up. Maybe he did unlock something. And if so, it answers a lot of questions that I have going into the postseason.
I think he is the ultimate, Jacob alluded to it, the ultimate like playoff like elevator, because as we've seen over the past couple weeks, doubling Shea, blitzing Shea, even Dub has seen some of that. Like, whoever of those two guys brings it up is going to get some kind of look. Guys like Aaron Wiggins are going to be the Derrick Jones Juniors, where it's like,
Mhm.
if you're going to
Mm.
beat us,
We've got PJ
that guy
Washington
has
at
to
home.
do it. And
Right.
Aaron Wiggins
And you
could,
never
or maybe
tell.
he couldn't.
Right.
Maybe he's not up to the challenge. But like the way he's playing right now, it's a really nice
Yep.
thing to say, wow, this guy could, if you say force Wiggins to beat you, he might be able to.
Yeah. I would go Kaysen Wallace for Prince of the Prairie as well. I just real quick. I don't know if we've read it off yet, but he was 19 points on 50, 100 shooting, 3 boards, 4 assists, a steal, and a game high plus 21. I just thought his energy at the start of the game, the shots he was making at the start of the game. I forget who posted it the other day, but Cason Wallace averages 1.7 points per cut. That's stupid.
It's pretty good.
That's a really
That'll
stupid.
do. Yep.
He wears out the baseline on those cuts in that dunker spot. The 3 ball is really coming around for him. He's just been wildly impressive to me. And how old is he? 20, 21? There's a lot of growth. Like, he's the one where I start to worry about can you pay everybody?
Yep.
He's the one I start to worry about. And I know we still got a couple years to go on that, but that's I mean, he's really freaking good, dude.
Yep.
He'll be in the Derek White echelon of contracts if he keeps ascending like he is now.
I think somebody was complaining to me during the game, like there was 2 consecutive ATOs out of the timeout where the play was called for Cason. And it kind of goes back to what Justin was talking about at the beginning of the podcast, experimenting and trying to get these guys more involved, more confident. Like, why would you not give Cason those opportunities the way he's playing right now?
Yeah.
He just continues, seems like he's growing each and every game.
Yep. We got to talk about one more guy before we move on, because yet again, the chat demands it. Ousmane Dieng. Who had that on your bingo card for tonight's game? We're going to talk about Ousmane Dieng. Ous came in tonight, 16 minutes, probably aided by the injuries and the ejections, but comes in for 16 minutes, pours in 7 points.
I wish 17. That'd be
Hold it.
awesome.
Easy.
I did not wish 17.
7 points off 3 of 5 shooting, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 very, very large block.
The block was impressive. I don't want to seem like a negative person. I'm trying not to be a negative person.
I was going to say, who wants to talk about him? And I knew it was going to be Jacob.
You just said none of us expected him to play. You know who else didn't expect him to play? The San Antonio Spurs. Whenever they printed off the scouting report, was Ousmane Dieng's name on it? No. No.
The printer ran out of ink. The
Yeah.
printer ran out of ink. getting
Such
to
a
that.
hater.
Like, he played well. He dunked the ball. I'm glad he dunked the ball and didn't lay it in. Did have a sick block. And I'm happy for the guy. Like, he had a good showing, but he's never going to factor into the rotation.
The most
If he gets playoff minutes, we are at one of the 2 poles. Or, like, again, the team plane crashed and he was the one who survived. He was the only one that put the oxygen mask on first before he put it on somebody else.
the most damning thing Jacob says about players is, "I'm happy for the guy."
But
Yeah.
Seems like a good kid. Anyone else want to talk about Ous that doesn't hate him?
I don't hate the guy.
I hate him.
He's not going to get an opportunity on this team. He needs to go play for like Charlotte or the Heat. Really random aside, the Southeast Conference. Okay, like
Yes.
Magic. You know who's in that conference?
Division.
Yeah, the division. I'm sorry.
The SEC.
SEC just means more. baby.
Ousmane Dieng's SEC ready, Paul.
Miami, Orlando, Atlanta, Charlotte, Washington is that division.
Woof.
Nasty.
Woof.
Zero teams over 500.
Nasty.
Taylor just rhymed woof with roof.
Woof. It's not.
That's how
it's
French
like a
dogs
dog.
bark.
It's Oof.
Woof.
Wee wee. Hey, speaking of French dogs, Ousmane Dieng.
Yeah, that was the joke.
Speaking of French dogs, what?
He's French and he played like a dog tonight. Nick, try to keep up.
I don't want to be around anymore.
All right. I think we have unpacked and repacked and unpacked again this game. I think we should play some trivia. Who's with me?
I'm with you.
Let's do.
Prairie Trivia brought to brought to you yet again by our friends at Prairie. We got some good prairies being cracked on the stream tonight. TP, what are you drinking?
Got a little buzzer beater action after we went and
Love
watched
that.
the Hawks game at the tap room Friday. That was a lot of fun. Great
Love that.
crowd too. Shout out Prairie.
I am on my very last seasick crocodile, holding on I'm splitting with my last Christmas beer on March 2nd. It's a bittersweet occasion. What about you, Silva? What you got?
I am drinking Tropical S's.
That's a new one. The Tropical Skittles beer. How is it?
It's real good. Tastes like tropical Skittles.
Amazing. All right. Everyone has their whiteboard except for Taylor, per usual.
And Jacob and I were literally watching the game together.
We should start
2 nights
keeping a
ago.
tally of how many times you two see each other and don't exchange the whiteboard.
Didn't
Okay, so
even cross my mind.
Who's reading out the questions? Is it me?
You. Yeah, dude.
Well, Jacob, have you read them already?
Nope.
Okay, so you just like screen. Okay.
That seems fishy.
I like the story. All right. Are we ready? Are we ready? And turn off the comments, everybody. Don't be cheap.
Yes. Ready.
Okay. From our guy, Rob Baird. Question number 1. Cleveland had the most rebounds per game, 49.4 in February. Where did the Thunder rank in February, and how many
Ooh. Okay.
rebounds per game?
How many did Cleveland have?
49.4. This is that quiet time. I don't know what to say during this time.
Feel that dead air, Silva.
Hey, what about the Oscars? Anybody watching that?
Nope.
Feel like doing
Saw
2-1 more.
Timothy
saw
Chalamet
that.
looking like a little tiny banana runt candy.
Laffy Taffy.
I love me.
Banana runts are elite.
They're disgusting. That's like the one thing you take out of
I
the
hate
bag.
those.
I'm
Agreed.
sorry. What?
I-
No, you get
Yes.
the all banana bag.
No.
No,
When's the last time you guys ate runts?
I don't know what that
Probably
is.
tomorrow.
long time.
You know what runts
Hold
are?
on.
What?
The baby of the podcast.
I remember going to the grocery store and putting a quarter in the machine and just getting a
Banana
handful
runts.
of runts.
Oh, I know.
Yes.
What that is. Those are good. I just didn't know they're
Yeah.
called runts. That's just the shit you get out of the quarter thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't
All
like
right.
the word runts.
No, I don't know.
Like when you start to say it just feels weird. Runts.
I got the
Say it.
runs.
No.
Just say it once, Justin. Just say it.
Runts. I've said it a lot.
Yeah, see, it's weird.
I have
Should
no
we go
issue with
with our
it.
answers?
Yes.
I guess so. All right,
All right. I said 13th,
Nick, that's awesome.
and the number I'm a lot less. Nick's got nothing. The number I'm less confident in, 41.8? Question mark.
Okay, Jacob says 12th. Nick, yours says 48. And what, 5th?
Fifth.
And Taylor says 4th.
Fourth. I went all fours. 4th and 44.
The correct answer-
44 would be like the worst in the league, Taylor.
Wait, wasn't it 49? I don't know.
The correct
I
answer.
think the difference between 1 and 4 is 5 rebounds a game.
God.
It might be.
Taylor, look, I would have guessed something even lower than that because I don't look at.
I have no clue.
Don't let them shame you, Taylor.
That's right.
The answer is they ranked 4th with 48.8.
I was almost there.
Ooh.
4th is a lot better than I expected.
Do I get a half point?
For what? Picking them to be the worst rebounding team in the league?
He said 4th.
I said fourth.
He did say
Fourth
I
at
just went with
44.
all four.
I
At
think
5 rebounds a game.
the Thunder lead the league in scoring at 62.3 points per game.
I was told there would be no math.
Yes. All right. Question number 2. Shea has 36 games with 30 or more points to lead the league. Who are the second and third place players, and how many 30-plus games does each have?
Say that again.
Shea has 36 games with 30 or more points, which leads the league. Who are second and third in that list, and how many 30-point games do each of them have? So Shea has 36.
It's not Luca.
No.
I'm ready.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Are we ready?
Nick's just holding up a white screen.
I don't know. I'm not putting a number because I have no clue.
You
I
can
have no
see that.
clue.
I know you can see that.
No, we see a reflection of of your
All right.
cabin.
I said Jokic and Giannis. And
Yeah.
I guessed with 27 and 21, respectively.
Okay. Nick, what do you got?
I said Giannis 25, Jokic 24.
Okay.
I went
Jason?
Jokic and Mitchell.
Okay.
Hmm.
That was the other
Taylor?
one I considered. I went Jokic and Giannis also. Jokic with 30, Giannis with 27. I don't
Okay.
know.
Second place, right behind Shay, is Giannis with 28.
Ooh.
Third place is Jason Tatum with 23.
I thought about going Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Suck on that, Jokic.
So Jokic doesn't
speaking of-
deserve MVP.
That's
Speaking
what I
of
heard.
that, this is not a trivia question, but I'm curious if you guys know. If Shea didn't play a single fourth quarter all season, where would he rank in points per game?
Third.
First.
Jesus, Silva.
I thought it was a trick question.
7th.
I was going to say third. I'll go with Jacob.
Fourth.
There you go.
Actually,
That's
no.
Ooh.
He would be third because only Giannis and Jokic. He wouldn't be number one. So he third. It would be third.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That
Well
is
done.
crazy.
Well done.
All right.
He's so good. He's first and third.
That was the math in my head, but that doesn't really work when you think about it.
Not
All right,
a math
third and
podcast.
final question.
Also not a meth podcast.
Well, debatable.
Yeah.
Not
That's what happens in the playoffs.
yet.
Don't know what Nick's doing in that Sims house.
Question number 3. Which team won only one game in the month of February?
Oh, I think I know this answer.
I have a hint that I could or could not say.
They're bad.
They're bad.
Say
Right.
it. Say it.
You guys need the hint?
Yes.
They
I need the
beat
hint.
the Dallas Mavericks.
I got my answer.
I don't feel confident like Jacob.
I don't either.
I feel good about
I don't remember that game.
You don't remember the game that the Mavericks lost?
No.
It's a lot.
Which one?
They only won one game in February?
Yes.
And the game they won was against the Mavs. We ready?
Yes. I said the Wiz.
The Wiz, Phoenix, and the
Wi-
Hornets.
Yeah, Wizards felt too obvious. so I
Hornets
went-
Hornets beat the Lakers, Taylor.
Ah, dang it. Good point.
This team has a very expensive player that just quit podcasting to pursue a championship.
Oh,
Sixers.
God.
It's
well
the Philadelphia
done.
76ers.
That's insane.
Phoenix, Philly. I had the first two letters
Ah.
right.
Golly. One game?
That's
Let's see.
insane.
Holy mother.
Did you see the guy that pulled the stats of PG's performances
Yeah.
after podcasting and
Yeah.
after not podcasting?
He's better after he pods.
He's better after he pods.
Pods.
Put it back in the
It's good.
booth.
Podcast P.
Revive
Kind of like
the
that
pod.
stat of James Harden.
After the strip club.
That stat.
Kind of like that.
That stat.
Amazing. That was Prairie Trivia. Thank you all for playing along. Thank you, Rob Baird, as always, for the questions. Thank you, Prairie, for sponsoring. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. And we're back with someone jingling their keys.
That was my dog shaking.
That works too. All right.
Like normal shaking, not like seizure shaking.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying. Dog wellness check. Everything's fine.
Which dog?
What the dog doing?
What the
All
dog
right.
doing?
We are going to do a segment based off some of the feels in the Discord. Feels like there's a lot of weight of expectation taking hold in the Thunder fan base right now. This team is handily in first place. They have a ridiculous record. They're winning lots of games, and yet there's much to be distraught about. So this segment is going to be the panic meter. So on a scale of your own creation, because I didn't prepare one in advance, I need to know, how panicked are you about some of the following topics revolving this team? Make sense?
Yes.
Great, because you're going first, Silva.
All right.
The first question is going to be about the defense. The Thunder defense, which we have held up all season long, has been the best in the NBA all season long, as of late has looked a little different. Since the All-Star break, they're middle of the pack in the NBA in terms of defensive rating. They've given up 4 70-point halves this season, 3 of them coming in the last week, including one tonight. Another stat that I had from Friday, they've given up 10 40-point quarters this season. 4 of them have come in the last week. So, Silva, give me your panic meter for the Thunder defense.
On a scale of my beard trimmer being waterproof and shooting sparks out the front of it, I'm probably gonna say it's near the waterproof side. I am not panicked about the defense.
I'm really glad I gave you guys leeway to create your own scale.
That was perfect.
I am not panicked about the defense. It is. I listened to a podcast, and they call this part of the season Mickey Mouse March, where nothing matters in this season because all the elite teams know they're elite, and they're kind of naturally taking their foot off the gas and trying out different lineups for the playoffs, and maybe playing their star players a little less, or having their star players do things like we've talked about SGA doing. It's also like some shot variance stuff that will happen at any point of the season, and I think the Thunder are kind of experiencing all of these things at the same time. They're on a long road trip. They played a lot of games. They haven't been home that much. I would rather look at the wider picture of the season and the incredibly dominant defense that we've seen the entire way, rather than focus in on this one stretch of meaningless basketball. Ultimately, it's meaningless when I find good things.
I was going to say, this means something to me, Silva. Yeah. Does anyone disagree? Does anyone think there is reason to panic about the Thunder defense as of late?
No.
No's all around.
A lot of away games, and I rattled off that stat earlier, but even going back prior to the All-Star break, the Thunder finished on the road quite a bit. I haven't had a home stretch in a while. Yeah. I think that's going to do a lot for this team, just getting home and then getting healthy again.
I think it's fair. I said this in the Discord tonight. I think defensive schemes, at least for me, are harder to evaluate than the offensive side of the ball. But, and most of the time it's not as simple as just like, are they trying or are they not? But you can tell when this team is locked in and things are clicking, they reach a level that is just so horrifyingly good that it can overcome a lot of mistakes. And we saw it in the second half tonight. They were flying around. They were closing out quickly. They were making everything difficult for the Spurs. Spurs were missing a lot of shots, which makes your defense look a lot better also. But the ceiling of this team makes it hard to be worried about their floor. All right.
The thing, just real quick, tonight was a good example of this that you're describing. Defensive rating, quarter by quarter for this game. 152. First quarter, not good. Oof. That's for you, Taylor. Not good. That's a high number.
Ain't great.
Woof.
150 in the second quarter. Okay. 88.5 in the third. That's really good.
That's really good.
And then 128 in the fourth. That's a lot of garbage time. But that's a good example of a game where if you look at their points given up or the defensive rating over the course of a game, awful. But then you think about the fact that it was the way it was because the first half was an anomaly. That's not a reason to be concerned about defense.
Yep.
In my opinion.
That's fair. Smoot in the chat saying, has this team even lost 3 straight games all season? No, and they've only lost 2 straight games once.
Crazy.
Insane.
Pretty good.
All right. Jacob, second question. Mm-hmm. Panic meter rating for the 2 big lineups. Daignault addressed it in press conference. We've seen mixed results from the Chet Hart 2-man lineup, especially on the defensive end of the floor. Are we ready to panic about it?
On a scale from a very peaceful night's sleep to the pilot accidentally keeping the mic on and saying, uh-oh, we are at a leisurely Sunday walk. Not that worried. The sample is so small. What can you be worried about? You know, they've logged less than 50 minutes. Yeah, like that's like nothing. I don't know what they've logged, but it has to be less than 50. So you can't panic about something you don't have the full picture of, at least in a basketball sense. We're not going to become the uncontested, my favorite philosophical podcast. That there's just not enough data to worry about it one way or the other. I think it will work out because sometimes it's good to have all your best players on the floor.
I think even if we get a sample size that suggests it's not great, that is only reason to panic if you personally really want both guys to start and play together. Because we know for a fact with a large sample size that when they're not on the floor together, they're both freaking awesome. So like, even if the meter gets up to a 7, that's like, guys, this is not going to work. You can stagger their minutes and have very few overlap. And the minutes when they're out there by themselves is phenomenal. So I don't think you can be concerned.
Yeah. What I'm really interested in, Nick, is when they've been healthy, we've seen them start together. And then we've seen Chet start, Isaiah come off the bench. Anytime Chet has been healthy, he has started on this basketball team. I'm interested if we will ever see him experiment with Hartenstein start and Chet off the bench. I don't think so either. I think it's Chet starts Hart off the bench or the two bigs. I don't think we ever see the inverse of that.
They played 97 minutes so far, by the way.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot more than I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be under 50.
Shout out to Kaysen. He's just been incredible.
Do you have like an
starting
offensive
lineups.
or defensive rating with that two-man lineup?
Yeah, and it's insane. The offensive rating is 126 and the defensive rating is 120. So it's
Oh, wow. Okay.
net rating of 6.
Jacob, I'm curious too, like the Hart starting Chet off the bench or Chet starting Hart off the bench. Is the data you're going to collect any different than just like the scenario where Chet's not playing or Hart's not playing?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Are there any potential matchups where you feel like you need the two big lineup? Playoff matchups.
It's a good point.
Where you need it?
Yeah.
I
where
mean,
it could be advantageous to win the series.
The Luka trade changes a lot on that front, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm pulling up the standings real quick. Against Dallas, it would be good. I think the Timberwolves, it could be good.
Disagree on that one. I think you're better off if you play the bigs off the floor in Minnesota.
Okay.
I think you're yeah, keep going. Sorry.
I think Houston could be interesting. I think the Grizzlies is a really interesting one. Hopefully we get to see that on Wednesday. And I kind of like it against the Nuggets, honestly. The Nuggets one goes both ways. I mean, making Jokic step out and play defense on Chet is you're giving on both ends in that matchup. Whereas if you put Hartenstein and just trust him one-on-one, and then Chet can be the weak side rim protector and guard Aaron Gordon, I like that too. So there. I don't know if there's a series where you say you have to slam the double big lineup, but I think there are series where the double big lineup will be very advantageous.
Yep. That's what I think is interesting about it as a question is because there are quite a few teams that are realistic playoff opponents where you could need that to your point, not need it necessarily to like absolutely win the series, but where you might see the Thunder trying to employ that
Cavaliers
strategy.
Yep.
Cavaliers are definitely an interesting one. I like the foresight on that answer.
Do you believe, this is a question for everybody, mostly Jacob because he brought it up, but everybody, do you feel this need for a double big is a closing lineup thing or a other 43 minutes of the game thing?
Probably other 43 minutes. You know what might be kind of crazy? And I guess it just depends on who it is in the lineup. Like for the other team, like I don't know if it works against Dallas if you're playing them in a series and they have AD and why am I forgetting his name? Sideshow Bob.
Sideshow Bob. I'm going blank now.
What's his name?
What team?
Dallas.
Lively?
No.
Oh, Jackson Hayes.
Jackson Hayes. I couldn't
Jackson
talk.
Hayes is also Sideshow Bob. But if it's
What
Dallas,
are you talking about?
we've done this before. You know who
Yeah.
Sideshow Bob is from The Simpsons.
No.
With the
So will we pull it up while I talk for a second?
No problem at all.
Thank you.
They have the same hair.
I don't know if it works against that that lineup with like those two like very large humans. And I think Mark is kind of sitting with this lineup in his back pocket. But the Shea, Queso, Dort, AC, Dub lineup is like my favorite lineup on the team.
I agree.
Sideshow Bob.
What on earth is that?
How have you never seen Sideshow
Now
Bob?
that looks like a banana runt with a wig.
That's a thing I've never pictured before until this exact moment. Wow. Any other comments?
Justin, you live in Dallas. You could Photoshop a banana runt with a wig and sell it as a Derek Lively shirt.
Lively
Probably
shirt.
just print money.
Is Sideshow Bob supposed to be like Carrot Top?
Does kind of look like Carrot Top
I don't
too.
think so. No.
Makes you think.
I think Carrot Top came after.
Makes you think. All right, Taylor, coming to you. Panic meter rating. The Thunder health. Yet again, we find ourselves looking at a lineup that is not whole, with Chet being listed as day to day. The chat. Oh, the chat. God bless him. The Thunder cannot seem to put together a lineup that is completely whole. And while obviously they've been able to overcome it with their record, what's your panic meter rating as you look ahead toward the playoffs with this team's track record health-wise?
So it's now March 2nd, which means it's officially Nader season in Oklahoma. And no, not Abdul, actual tornadoes. I think we have a little chance for tornadoes tomorrow night. So on a scale of I'm out on the back porch watching the storms come in because I know there's no funnels and nothing bad, cracking open a Prairie beer, enjoying it.
I'm on the back porch watching a funnel come in, cracking a Prairie beer.
Exactly. To I'm in the tornado shelter because like, oh shit, this actually looks bad, which has happened here in Norman over the past year or two. I'm probably like, it's hailing outside and it's a little windy, so I can't be on the patio, but I'm comfortably watching David Payne on my television screen, and I'm not going for shelter.
David Payne guy, huh?
Well, I have to be here in Oklahoma. I can't watch Travis Meyer. I'm not in Tulsa anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's
News 9,
concerning.
you can fill out the check to the uncontested LLC.
That's right. Yeah, good sponsor of the podcast.
Better have my money.
I think I'm concerned in the sense that injuries continue to pile up. And there's a lot of players who are playing through small injuries right now. And I'm not sure we'll maybe see this team completely healthy coming into the playoffs, just in terms of like, even if everybody's available, they're all battling some sort of ailment. But I'm also not like, it's nothing that's been crippling so far. I don't think Chet's going to have another season-ending injury, knock on wood. Like, I don't think it's time to panic.
Thunder training staff keeping KT tape in business this time of year.
100%.
Anyone have a different viewpoint around the Thunder health?
No, I just want to throw up every time Chet goes down.
Every time he falls, it's so scary.
Yeah.
It's like watching Red Panda drop a bowl.
It's exactly like that.
That's a good analogy. Shams did say
Unnatural.
this is the first time we heard it officially, but Shams said before the game that Chet is considered day to day. So maybe we do see him.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Sham said something about Red Panda.
So did I.
Red Panda's day to day.
No, you got to have Nick sing it. Nick's the best. Nick, just give us a little taste.
I might have to do that on a.
If you want to hear it, you got to subscribe to the Patreon
Wow.
and listen to our next bonus episode.
There it is.
What happens first? Red Panda retires,
How dare you?
or Red Panda falls off the unicycle?
Retirement, easy.
What if,
Retire-
it's,
yeah,
what if
she-
it's the same? What if,
she's
what if she
no,
retires because she
no.
falls off the unicycle?
She's going out on top.
Yeah.
She's going out on top.
She's going out with her bowls stacked.
Could you imagine being at the game where she like falls?
No, stop saying that.
Okay, we were at a game. We were at a Thunder game where there was like some lady who was like chained in a water tank, and they
Oh,
literally.
this is infamous. Yes.
That was insane. We were there live. I think it was a playoff game. I can't remember for
No,
sure.
it was
Did she knock
like
it
the
out?
first or second season, and
No,
she
she took it out and they had to
legitimately
go in and
almost
save her.
died.
Yeah.
And the Thunder have had a very different stance on halftime performances ever since.
No more Magic?
Go Google this. If you haven't heard this, it was like 2009. It's horrifying. Anyway,
hopefully that's not Red Panda.
Speaking of horrifying, Nick. Last question.
That was a good dream.
That's messed up.
Last question. Panic meter rating on the non-SGA offense. We mentioned it earlier in the post-game recap. We know what Shea can do. What about what this team can do without Shea? If a team employs a strategy in the playoffs to shut Shea down, do they have what it takes to overcome it? Have you seen enough that gives you confidence that this team can find buckets when Shea is on the bench?
I'm going to give you a gloomy answer that turns around. No, I have not seen enough.
You got to rate it on a scale of your own creating.
Oh my gosh.
On a scale of living with your in-laws to eventually moving into you and Courtney's dream home.
And living with your in-laws is the positive end of the scale, just so everyone's clear.
If the scale is Taco Bell relative to McDonald's, Taco Bell being the GOAT, McDonald's being not that great.
Okay, good. You formed that properly.
I'm like, you get a little bit of both. Like, you can't get the Taco Bell order you want. You got to get like half your Taco Bell order, and then you also get half your order of McDonald's. Like,
that's
kind of in the middle of the
behavior.
meter. Kind of in the middle of the meter. I don't know. I have no scale off the top of my head to really quantify this. Somewhere at the 5 out of 10 scale. Because I have not seen any reason to believe the offense outside of Shea has the ability to do what you described, Justin. But I think the defense is so damn good that it's still going to be okay. So that's why like the panic meter is not super high, despite me not believing the offense can do it, because I think the defense can be good enough that they will still win gritty games 95-91.
Anyone have a different viewpoint?
I think if I'm being like optimistic about it all, I think I've fallen in line with Nick. Like there's going to be questions to be answered unless they are answered in the playoffs in the heat of the moment. Until then, it's just rely on the defense.
Smoot's bringing up Taco Bell and McDonald's combined. That's like the worst possible thing you could ever go to is the A&W root beer and
Long
John Silver's.
No, I love that place.
The Taco Bell KFC.
Get some fried fish and a root beer
I was going to
float.
grab the KFC one.
The Long John Silver's over here burned down a few years ago.
About 10 years.
R.I.P.
I used to love the word hush puppies.
Not the food, just the word.
That's a sounder.
It's still a fun word to say, hush puppies. It's better than runts.
Nick, do you think, assuming, for the sake of this question, assume the Thunder do not win a championship, is the non-SGA offense the primary reason they lose? Looking into your crystal ball.
It's really hard to answer. It very well could be. I think that if I were to like gun in my head, like why did they not win? I think it is. I think
I'm
it's
trying to
maybe
imagine a scenario where the finals end and somebody's got a loaded Glock to the back of Nick's head. Why didn't they win?
Probably be one of the degenerates, if we're being honest.
It might be.
Looking at
seeing
Connor
the
B.
Discord tonight, it might actually happen. No, I think
B is for bullet.
I think it ends up being a perimeter size issue. I still think this team, like we always talked about the Cam Johnson trade and why he's like 6'9" and can do a lot for you on the wing at his size. I still don't know if the Thunder they have a lot of great guards, a lot of awesome bigs. They got some guys that can play on the wing, but I still don't know if they have the wing. J-Dub would be it, but he can't play wing all that often because he's got to play a lot of small ball 5 and 4.
Nick, I think when it comes down to it, Shea's going to play 40 to 42 minutes a night in the playoffs anyway. So the non-Shea offense is like
it's minimized.
Yeah, it's very minimized.
It's a good point. All right. Last but not least, our final segment of the night. It's time for some predictions. You guys ready?
Yes.
4 games on the docket this week. First up tomorrow night, Segababa against the Houston Rockets. Silva, what happens?
They're winning that one.
Okay. Jacob.
Win.
Taylor.
Win. Rockets are sitting a bunch of their players.
Nick.
Moneyball win.
There it is. That's not the sound I was expecting.
Rack.
I am also going a money ball win. I somehow wasn't expecting it the second time either. Next game on the schedule, Wednesday night at Memphis. Nick, what happens?
Win.
Taylor.
Win with my money ball. Big ol' rack.
Wow. Jacob.
Win.
Silva.
There's magic. There will be magic in the air. I will be on the post game against Memphis. There's been magic before of a darker kind, but this time it will be better. Things will be better.
They're going to win by 72.
with a money ball.
I am also going win. Next game on the docket, Friday versus Portland. Silva. What happens against the Trailblazers, who've been playing pretty well?
A win. And Scoot's going to score like 30 points and make me look like an idiot again.
Jacob.
I said he was Dennis Smith Jr.
Moneyball win.
Oh.
Then
Taylor.
Dub.
Nick.
W.
I am also going a W. Fourth and
W.
final game next Sunday, the first of 2 contests against the Denver Nuggets. Nick, what happens against Denver?
George Bush.
H or W?
Taylor, come on.
Taylor, what
What?
happens?
My brain first went to a rock. I had no clue where you were going with that. It took a second to get to the W.
awesome.
That's awesome.
Human rights violations? Like,
Who throws a shoe?
And the
Taylor,
Rockets.
what happens against Denver?
I'm gonna get cute. Get my better judgment. 3 straight wins. I think they're gonna get an L this one against the Nuggets, and Twitter's gonna go crazy.
Sunshine Pumper Taylor predicting an L. The
Comments are insane.
The chat's going to get this podcast censored by the FBI.
Yeah.
Jacob, what happens against Denver?
Win.
And Silva.
Now watch this drive.
I don't know. What that
I'm missing
means.
that
I
reference.
didn't get that either.
Damn it. Anyone? It's George W. Bush being interviewed on a golf course. Someone asks what he's going to do about Iraq. And he says, I'll put an end to these terrorists. Now watch this drive. And he walks
No way.
playing golf.
No way.
When Silva says he's in the zeitgeist, he means all of it. Just
Speaking of drives,
all
have
of
you
it.
seen Mark Daignault's drive that was caught on
Oh
camera?
my gosh, it went straight for the cameraman. That was amazing.
I didn't see that. It's awesome.
Amazing.
So good.
I'm also going to go with a W just because I'm going to play the numbers here. And I think, like we talked about earlier, the MVP showdown, I think, is going to have this team fired up for that one. Any other parting thoughts? World politics?
I do.
Deep cut political memes?
This podcast is already off the rails, so I'll end
There are
this
no
here.
rails left. The rails have burned.
I'll end this here with a little inside baseball from none other than Jim Traber.
No.
Oh, God.
In the pod. Silva, now. Pull the plug.
Go ahead and play the outro music. Shout out my good friend Sam Humphreys over at the Sports Animal, who sent me this back and forth of him and Traber.
Are we really airing this right now?
Yeah, I got permission.
Okay.
Confirmed.
Oh, God.
From Jim
Permission
Trader?
from us?
Sam said no from Traver. Yeah, not that. I don't need permission there. Always ask for permission, friends. Anyways, I got to give it up to Jang as well. He has played well tonight, Sam said. Jim Traber responds with yuck.
Is Jim Traber Jacob Niffen?
I think we're on to
Might
something.
be.
I think that was
Look
your
here, you
conclusion.
yardbird.
And
I
yuck was
expected a
spelled
much better
Y-U-K.
payoff for that story.
And it's
Yeah,
just,
so did I. I thought we were about to get like some.
headline from
Yardbird.
Deadspin from February 3rd, 2009. On-court drowning, nearly the most exciting highlight of OKC Thunder season.
Dude, that's the most Deadspin headline I've ever heard. All right, I'm ending the pod before we go any further. Before we get ourselves blacklisted from the internet.
How do we
Thank
feel
you
about
all.
HW?
If you're still listening, bless you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for interacting with us. We are going to be back again tomorrow night against the Rockets. So come hang out for that. We are lots of big games ahead. We're going to be here for all of it. So make sure you are ready. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast content. Until next time. And as always, Thunder up.